Hey everyone, this is Rob from Phantom Trading and welcome to my US30 trade recap from today, April 26th, New York session. So obviously this is post New York session. What I'm going to do is break down everything from the daily, the higher time frame, the 4 hour down to the 15-minute and onto the 1 minute where I actually executed the trade. So let's start off with marking out our daily structure. I'll just quickly mark it out. So we'll start with these red dots. As Phantom members probably know, I use this to denote my daily time frame. And essentially, we're pretty bearish, as you guys can see. Pushing down, breaking these structural points. We can go as far as even marking out, further back, which is what I like to do, so we don't get caught inside internal structure. And obviously we broke this low. It's kind of something like this, right? So we were bullish until we turned bearish when we broke this low, right? And then now we're continuing to make lower lows, lower highs, right? Now with this one, we don't quite close enough for me to call it a break until later down here, right? So when we actually break around this level, I'll mark it as a breaker structure, right? This is where I would consider it to be a breaker structure on the daily. Otherwise, I'm kind of considering it a sweep because I want to see conviction in the market showing that, we're actually breaking below, in this case, in a bearish scenario, below the previous wick low here, or the swing low, right? So that's bearish, right? Overall, I'd say we're bearish and we're stuck kind of in between this range here now of price action on the daily. So this is, anything in between here is just internal structure or complex pullback, whatever you want to call it. So that's my daily. What else can we mark out? We can also mark out our daily zones really quickly, which is something that you should be doing if you're doing your analysis. So I'm going to mark out this range. You could go and mark out this. Obviously, it doesn't tap into that, but I'll just mark out this range. It's very, it's similar to marking out essentially a 4-day candle because there's 4 candles in this range, right? Or more, right? It could also be a weekly, depending on how you look at it. So I'll mark out that one. And why am I marking that out? Because it's kind of relevant to this, right? You can see here we're starting to tap into another area of supply, and you can see that we just barely nick this level of supply here on the daily too, right? So this daily zone, remember, right, this level of supply is also probably a 4 hour 15-minute range, right? So again, price is fractal, as you've probably heard before. It's a term that's kind of thrown around a lot, but it is true, right? Any range is really just a higher time frame zone and vice versa. So that's my daily. Let's drop down to the 4 hour and quickly mark out 4 hour structure. So I'll just do more recent 4 hour structure just so that we, in the interest of time, keep this recap a little bit short. So I would say we were pretty much bearish from here to here. Why? Because we broke here, right? So I'm kind of doing it backwards. Right? I'll do that sometimes because I want to try to make sure I'm not getting caught in a complex pullback. So we're bearish up until there, until we're bullish, right? In which case, right, everything in between here, again, what do we consider this? Complex pullback, right? All of this internal structure until we break above and close above, which we do here, right? So I'll then mark that, and then I'm going to look behind, right? There's 2 places you can put it. Either you can put it here or here as your high or low, right? Because essentially price is kind of doing this, right? Well, really it's breaking above this. This is the important level that we need to focus on, right? So I think for me, I am gonna trail it to this. You don't necessarily have to, but either you can do that, or if we keep it down here, or even put it at the extreme here, that's fine too. So we'll put it like that. We'll say this is one large bullish leg, right? So anything in between that, again, is complex pullback from here, right? So we're in a bullish sort of range or leg, right? Next, what do we have? Price then shoots up and taps into a daily zone. Okay, this to me closes just enough above this for me to call it, high intent, right? It's a high intent break, or enough of a high intent break that we can consider this bullish price action. Now, obviously in hindsight, we know this is a sweep because we've tapped into a daily zone. Remember, our daily is bearish, and then what happens? Price just falls off like crazy, right? Now, this being an index, as much as price is oscillating now, there is a long bias to it. It is an equity, right? It's like a soccer equity because it's an index, and we kind of expect that it's long bias for the most part. But here's the thing. The S&P 500, I believe, has been performing pretty poorly. Same with US30, Dow Jones, right? It's just not doing very well, right? But again, we can kind of break down what price action is doing pretty clearly here, and we can see that we're reacting to this zone, right? And price is falling as a result of that, right? So once that happens, right? Again, what was our previous sort of structure? It was from here to here, right? I'll draw it with the marker tool, here to here, right? And what happens? Price falls through our previous swing low, right? Our higher low. So now we have a floating low, and we've obviously had a sizable pullback, right? I think from Monday, and then price is kind of floating in between this now, right? But we're bearish overall, and we're expecting that we're going to continue to push bearish. Why? Because we've tapped into a daily zone, and daily is bearish, right? So that's our higher time frame structure. Now let's look at our mid-time time frame structure. That would be the 15-minute. Now the 15-minute, I don't fully trust it. I think I've told a lot of people inside the community about this, and I don't know what the other team members think. I think they kind of agree to a degree. But I will mark it out anyways, and I'm going to explain kind of my thought process behind it. So the problem with 15-minute structure that I have is that I find it honestly really unreliable, I think, as I just mentioned. But I will still use it in certain circumstances where I find price action, is decently clean, right? So I'd say in this case, we're bearish, right? We can even go further back if you guys really want. And we can mark out kind of something like this, where this would be our low. This is enough of a pullback for me. It's sweeping something, right? It's sweeping Asia low, London. And then you kind of push up, and same with this, right? If you want to get that granular with it, you can. But I think I'll keep it to this, right? So it's kind of like that. We obviously break this low, switch from bullish to bearish, right? And then what happens? Price pushes down, and now, we're kind of stuck in this complex pullback. Now, we've made enough of a pullback that I've already started marking out this high on both ends, to be honest, right? Because this is a pullback of this leg, right? From here to here is our pullback. And then obviously, substructurally, we have our actual pullback and the pullback of the pullback. So we have our pullback here of this, right? And then we have a pullback here, right? So if price breaks above this high, I'm going to consider 15-minute bullish. If we continue to break lows, which I'm kind of expecting is more likely to happen, we'll be bearish, right? Now, remember, in the context of the 4-hour, we're bearish, right? We'll go back to the 4-hour for a second so you guys can see it a little bit better. But 4-hour is doing this, right? So with that being said, we're caught between this. We're expecting this low is weak, right? Because it's failing to break this high, right? That means that price can come up to this level, to the extreme, it could sweep, and then it could push lower, or we could have a full-on reversal, right? So with that in mind, let's go back to the 15-minute and let's think about this for a second, right? 15-minute is not the most reliable thing, but we can see it's very clearly bearish, right? Now, what's the other thing we're going to mark out? I think we forgot to mark out our 4-hour zone, so let's quickly drop back to the 4-hour and mark that out. So I will mark out this level here just to be aware of where we're kind of sweeping a previous wick low, right? And if you don't understand the concept of liquidity sweeps, it's something that we teach pretty extensively within Phantom, and I also sort of teach this on the live backtesting calls that we do within the community. So if you want to join, obviously check out Phantom. It's only $80 a month as it stands now. I think we're going to eventually increase the price, but we like to keep it at a low price point so it's more accessible to people around the world. So anyways, aside from that, I've just quickly marked out some liquidity here. Obviously, when we sweep it, we push away from it. I'm trying to trade against the trap, essentially. Now, in terms of 4-hour levels, I don't really see much to mark out here that's relevant. We'll try to keep our charts clean. We want to keep good chart hygiene. But if we go to the 15-minute, we can start marking out some of this lower time frame or mid time frame POIs. So let's do our 15-minute here, right? We can see that we've respected this level. Again, we have another liquidity sweep here. I'm not going to get into too much detail about it, right? I just want to try and keep this video short and simple and kind of show you guys what's possible with the way that we trade. I will mark out this CPV, right? This level of 15-minute demand that failed, right? Because that's pretty important too. And I'm also going to, let's actually cut price back. Actually, I think I already did cut it back, but I'll cut it back further. I'll show you guys where I entered on the 1 minute. So another thing to kind of note here, obviously we've respected this, price continued to push down. What else is important? So this level hasn't failed yet, but we have this internal level or this local level of 15-minute demand that has failed, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move this level up to just the wick so that these two levels aren't colliding and making our chart hard to read. But we can see here this 15-minute level obviously failed, price push down, right? So that's pretty evident, right? So I woke up, honestly, did not sleep well last night, but that didn't stop me from finding a good trade setup and then executing it, right? And it ended up running for 10 hours. You'll probably see in the video title and thumbnail, but show you guys kind of what I was thinking. It's probably not the most conventional level to trade off of, but essentially what am I playing here? My major thing here is this 15-minute POI, right? The fact that we tapped into this, we had a 15-minute level of local demand fail, and then price continued to push down. Even though this didn't fail yet, ideally I'd like it to fail, right? And then we can play like one of these levels up here. That's kind of the whole like name of the game, the way that we trade. Any like supply and demand trader will sort of teach you this, right? It's all stuff you can learn on YouTube for free. But these are POIs that are definitely interesting. Why? Because they're sitting above liquidity that's formed here, right? As a result of this 15-minute reaction. So let's now hop onto the 1 minute. But I just want you guys to keep in mind what is my overall trade idea. I showed you all the structure and everything. The major POI that we're paying attention to and that I almost want to call that we're anchoring to, right, as my POI is this, right? And we've pushed off of it. So just keep that in mind, okay? It's not that I'm trading in the middle of nowhere. It is linked to something, right? So now let's go on the 1 minute and let's observe price here. So I'm just going to kind of mark it out the way that I typically mark it out. It's usually kind of messy. I try to keep it, clean, but it doesn't always go that way. So let's see, price push down, right? You can see price is respecting these levels here, respecting these levels. Then continues to push down, right? And then we get kind of a huge push. So at this point, if you look at the 15-minute, you can actually see that so this is obviously has shown that it is closed already, but this wasn't the case when I was looking to enter this trade. So I just want to be transparent about that. Thing is, I did see that this lower part of our 15-minute demand started to show like a sign of weakness in that it started to fail, right? So if we go back to the 1 minute, you can kind of see here price gets a little crazy. You can see we closed below on the 1 minute, which honestly isn't the most important thing. But then I can kind of see we have this level here, right? So again, I won't go into too much detail, but I'll let you guys kind of try and figure out why I entered here. I think I entered at this level. Let me play it back. It's kind of quick. I have the values here in a notepad, so I'm just going to paste it in exactly the way that I entered it. And you'll see I didn't get the best fill, but there's no shame in entering the way that I entered, right? When you have enough capital to trade with, like, honestly, to a degree, you're going to have problems with lot sizes being too big, you pushing the market around, not getting filled properly, stuff like that, right? So when you have enough capital to trade with, even like 5% is going to be honestly a really big day, right? I'll give you an example. 400K in FTMO funding, 5%, right? If you're risking 1%, even if you're risking 0.5%, that's a 10K day, right? Making 5%. Or no, sorry. That would be, it would be a 10K day making 5%, right? Or no, it would be 20K. But if you're risking 0.5%, obviously it would be a 10K day, right? Anyways, I'll show you what this ran to, and I'll show you where I closed it. So let's quickly look at targets. I obviously entered market, as you can see. Again, my fill wasn't great. This could have been like, a 20-hour trade had I just left the limit on here. But what did I target? I didn't actually mark it out yet, but you'll see. I decided to just exit for 10-hour flat because it was getting late in the day. And if you notice right here, we have this 15-minute level of demand that I wasn't entirely sure was going to break. So there's my 15-minute level, and this is where I looked to hard TP. I did not partial anything. and I will show the MT4 screenshot as well for transparency. But let's mark this as our TP, and we'll go to the 1 minute again, and we can see kind of how price plays out. And by the way, I will obviously post this on my Instagram. What I'm thinking of doing too, maybe I will include it in this video just for transparency. I'll show you guys one of like my FTMO accounts, me passing challenge and verification, because I think again, this industry, I've said it before, like lacks a lot of transparency. So I'll show you guys, you know, I'm not playing around, and you know, let you guys kind of watch this. So I entered, obviously price, I entered, I believe, you know what, I actually entered over here. So it's not where I had originally showed you guys. I think I saw it kind of come here, and I used this actually as liquidity. So we'll mark that here. And I think when price came back, I was looking to play up and around here, right? And so again, I let price kind of hover. You can see that it wicked up and down a little bit, right? And then I decide, okay, let's market execute. I'll cover the high. Let's be safe about it. And then we saw price drop. Where's my break-even point? Right here, right? If that doesn't make sense, again, this is something we teach in Phantom anyways. Same with, you know, the way that I entered. This may not be the most clean or conventional way that we enter, but it's definitely valid within the way that I trade, and I would say this is actually pretty high probability, this particular trade. So you can see here, we'll let it get to the TP, kind of messed around a little bit here, until around 2 p.m. my time, right? So you can see why I wanted to exit. Obviously, prices, it pulled up quite a bit, and I decided, okay, you know what, let's get out of this before, you know, this thing reverses on me. And I'll actually let price completely play out so you can see what happened. I believe we pulled back quite a bit. So we touched it multiple times. Oh, you know what? Looks like we actually dropped more. So, you know, this is probably the reason I should have left like 20% to run. But I didn't realize. I haven't really looked at the chart since. I've been doing other stuff during the day. But, you know, kind of give you an idea. There are other entries that you could have taken here, like scale-ins. It's just late in the day, right? Oh, actually, one other thing I'll quickly show you guys. Let me just pause this and pull up my trade journal. I want to show you guys how I did for the month. Again, transparency, why not? All right, so here's my trade journal for the month of April 2022. And as you can see here, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty slow month. If you've been trading, you know, any of the pairs or the indices or gold, whatever you trade, you probably notice it's been a pretty slow month. Not only that, but I was on vacation for, you know, the better half of the first month. I mean, I got back, I think on the 10th, but you know, I had to settle back in. Even though there was no time zone difference, I was just exhausted from flying, didn't sleep much. So, you know, I didn't force trading right away when I got back. And I mean, as you can see here, I really only had about 2 weeks of actual trading days. In total, I think I took 6 trades total, 1 loss, 2 break-evens, 3 wins. These ones, as you can see, I ended up closing early because they just weren't running very well. The 1 minute was very choppy, so I just decided to get out. And then obviously we also had Good Friday and Easter Monday. So those are, you know, bank holidays in the UK and in Canada, and I think in the US. So, you know, there's a lot of like stuff in the way that prevented me from, you know, it wasn't ideal conditions essentially. So again, you can see, you know, for the month I only did 12%. I know I say only, but I mean that's pretty good, right? Again, if you have a lot of funding, this is nothing to laugh at, right? So again, there's no shame in having, you know, a month that's, you know, less than 100 R or whatever. I think there's this huge, you know, thing in this industry where everybody thinks, you know, everybody has to make 100 R every month. But realistically, I think if you guys know basic math, you know, if everybody was making, you know, 100 R like they claim, you know, they'd be billionaires by now. They probably wouldn't be trading anymore. So I'm just trying to keep it real with you guys and show you, you know, some of my performance. Again, I'm very conservative the way that I trade. I'm basically waiting for my shots and taking them. So anyways, thanks for watching. If you want to join Phantom, check out the link in the description below. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I'm happy to answer them. Thanks again, guys. Take it easy. Bye.